Yesterday, before kick-off, it was all about expectation. It was all about hope. And the Red Army was there in their droves to help the lads get across the line. And they kept at them all the way throughout, with Kevin Nisbet sealing a remarkable win against Hibs yesterday on the 80th minute with what was a sensational goal. My thanks to Paul Hannon for sending me these videos. And there is Kevin taking his selfie at full time. And wasn't Pataudry absolutely bouncing at the final whistle after we came away with a very important and vital victory to close the gap on Hibs. Aberdeen go joint third. Hibs are above us purely on goal difference, but we are now on the same points, 53. With Celtic being crowned champions after thumping Dundee United, Dundee United have lost a little bit of ground. Next Saturday at 3 o'clock, we travel to Paisley to face St Mirren. Hibs take on Dundee United at Easter Road. It just gets more interesting by the hour. These were the headlines making the Scottish newspapers this morning. My thanks to @Don's Collector for putting this montage together for me. Dons are going the distance. You better believe that we are. Just a gentle reminder that ABTV is brought to you by Saltire Energy, the market leader in drilling equipment rental. Not just that, they come with a wide range of services to the oil and gas industries, with offices based in Aberdeen, the Middle East and Southeast Asia. Hello everybody, a very warm welcome to Ali Beg ABTV this Sunday night. Well, wasn't that good yesterday? Oh, what about that goal, eh? What about that goal? I've got to be honest, I'm still feeling a little bit tender after surgery a couple of weeks ago. But I didn't care a jot yesterday because I came out of my seat like a jack in the box yesterday and did myself a bad turn. But let me tell you, it was worth it. What a strike, what technique, and what an absolutely brilliant way to win the game, which I thought we thoroughly deserved because we kept at them yesterday. There were spells in the game where I was just like, oh, come on, we need to do more. We need to test their goalkeeper more. We need to do more in the box. But the way we managed the game after we went 1-0 up was absolutely brilliant to see. Tonight, as he is always with us on a Sunday night, Andrew Budge has taken us through the analysis, which I hope you will find of real interest. We've looked at the positives and the worrying aspects of yesterday's game. And I really hope you understand why we did that, to show you how vital it is to improve as we go further into the split, and obviously with the Scottish Cup final looming as well. It could be pivotal to the way we end up this season and how we perform in the Scottish Cup final. So that's going to come up a little bit later. We've got a very special on this day. Going to be reminiscing a wee bit later on as well. Don't forget, get your comments in tonight. Tell us what you thought of yesterday's game. And just how pleased are you that we've managed to draw level and kept ourselves in it to finish third. Let's just very quickly bring you the match stats. So 56.2% of possession, 15 shots in total, of which only 5 were on target. They did not have a single shot on target yesterday, which just goes to show how well we defended from open play. Just keep that in mind, only from open play. Successful passes in the final third was 98, which was up a wee bit on last week's game. Total crosses into the box, 28 to their 18. So what we'll do now is we'll get Andrew Budge on. We'll take you through the analysis. This is quite chunky. It's 13 minutes long, but I really hope you enjoy the watch because we did have lots to analyse from yesterday's game. And then we'll get you guys on the other side. So welcome, as always, on a Sunday night, Andrew Budge. Hi mate, it's good to see you as always. Thank you so much for jumping on. Okay, so we'll talk about the game in just a moment in more detail. But first of all, huge win, massive win, and delighted that we got over the line.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely delighted. It really sets us up for a big push for the final for the end of the season. But I think there was a lot to like from the performance, to be honest. I thought we started brightly. We've sort of bemoaned before how we've been slow starters. I thought we took the game to them pretty quickly. I thought we controlled large spells of the game and really looked like the more positive team. We'll come on to this in a bit more detail, but Hibs played a high line. Took us a bit of time to sort of work that out. I thought on another day we could have had quite a few goals with some marginal offsides, but yeah, I thought it was really positive. Maybe a little bit vulnerable from set plays, which we'll come on to also. But yeah, I'm really chuffed with the performance and the outcome.
Yeah, it's the one thing I asked for in the previous show was that we had to start better than what we did against Hearts, and in the first quarter we had 61% possession of the ball, so there was already a huge improvement there. Okay, let's talk about sort of tactically how well Hibs actually played, because I knew it was going to be difficult. I didn't quite expect them to sit in as they did. I thought they would come at us a little bit more, but where I think they caught us by surprise was this very high line that they played.
Yeah, I thought they did look really well coached yesterday, and they're a lot better than I thought they would be from earlier on in the season. But yeah, they kind of I think they were played a lot higher defensively, which caught us out a little bit. We kind of illustrate this on the graphic we've pulled up on screen, but they play quite clearly in their usual 5-3-2 formation, the formation that kind of came out of the result back in at Easter Road earlier this season. I think was the first time we saw it. So they've had a lot of success since then in their sort of 5-3-2. But you can see just here how high they are. Like that's almost on the halfway line. So really, really positive and looking to squeeze the pitch up and make it as difficult as possible for us to play through them. So yeah, I was quite surprised by that, and they did have some success. They caught us, or we got caught offside 4 times in the first half alone. And to give a bit of context on that, our average offsides per game is 1.59 per game for the season. So they've had a lot of success in the first half at catching us offside. Some were pretty marginal. We had a good chance. I think it was Keskin that went through on goal. Some other pretty marginal offsides, even in the second half as well, where Nisbet scored. So it is a sort of very fine balancing act between playing such a high line. You can get success, but you're obviously opening yourself up to potentially being played through. But yeah, they did have some success. But what I would sort of point to in the first example here is there's some clear sort of structural issues with their sort of defensive structure there. I thought we did a really good job of pinning back their wing backs. You can see they're in a sort of flat five there, which I really don't think they want to be doing. That gives so much space for us to sort of play through further upfield. They You can see that some of their players are trying to press further upfield. The two midfielders are really badly separated in this example. There's almost just like five upfield and five defensively, which is quite unusual. So a lot of space for us to play through, and I thought we did that at will, to be honest, a lot of the times during the game. I thought Clarkson and Palaversa and Jensen had a lot of time to play through midfield, and I thought they bossed midfield in large spells. So although the high line did catch us out in some instances, I thought that we sort of played through the midfield really well. And what that does from having such a high line is it opens up that huge space you can see in behind, which is what we tried to exploit for most of the game. We sort of put on to the second screenshot we can see here. Again, in this example, you've got Clarkson. He has so much time just to collect the ball on his feet on the half turn and play sort of long passes over the top and really try to exploit that Hibs defence. I think Hibs need to be doing a lot more to sort of push higher up, push some of their wing backs on, maybe go a bit more man for man in their defensive half, and rather than having sort of a clear split of five forward and five back, because we just had so much room to play through them. And Clarkson and Palaversa could really have a lot of opportunity to dictate the game. But yeah, so in this example, Clarkson plays the ball over the top for Pape. This is the sort of benefit we've got here of Clarkson in his deeper role. I think earlier in the season, when he was more advanced, we really struggled to get him into the game. But in this example here, you can clearly see he drops deep. We've mentioned before, we often go into a back three and build up with him in between the two centre backs. It's just sort of great to get him into the game more and use that range of passing. So yeah, into the sort of final screenshot, great pass over the top for Pape. He times his run well, and this is one of the few instances in the first half where we got our timing of our runs bang on. Really good sort of opportunity to flash a shot across goal. Bashui's forced into a block, and I think there's another block straight after that, and it just shows the sort of threat we did have on the break and over the top at points. But yeah, I thought Hibs did have some success there, so credit to them.
Okay. Um, from a defensive point of view, I thought during open play, I thought we were solid. didn't have an issue with the way we were defended. I thought we looked very compact. I thought we looked very solid. But when it came to set pieces, I thought we looked very vulnerable, and it made me nervous throughout the game. Why?
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I did think in open play we sort of shackled them and really limited the sort of opportunities they had. I thought Dorrant and Canusta were really good,
Yeah.
so it was just quite unusual for it to be so nervy at sets, and they really did have quite a few opportunities, to be honest. I thought their routines looked well rehearsed and sort of well coached. I think we could probably take a leaf out of that book, to be honest. But yeah, I thought we looked pretty vulnerable, and our defending at set plays has been criticised at various stages over the season. So I think it's something we need to learn from pretty quickly. And we pull up the first example here. This is just 10 minutes in. As a bit of an overview, we appear to be a bit of a mix of zonal and man marking. You can see Boucheries, who's probably one of their biggest aerial threats, is man marked by Papi Gay, plus a lot of other players occupy zones. I'd probably like to see. I quite like a mix of man and zonal marking, but I think I'd probably like to see like Canuster, for example, maybe also being man marking, just on some of their other aerial threats. I think Hibs were a pretty big team, with Iredale and Bowie and even Campbell, the back post, which we're about to come on to. They looked really sort of threatening aerially. So I think we could have maybe had a few more man markers. But in this example, you can see a lot of our players are just positioned in zones. They're responsible for attacking the ball should it come into that area. But the sort of common issue with zonal marking is if you've got players who can sort of attack the ball with a bit of momentum, you're almost always going to lose that header. And this is exactly what happens when we flick it onto the second screenshot. You can just see Campbell, who had a lot of space at the back post from this free kick, attacks the ball with sort of really great momentum. It kind of leaves Nisbet with little opportunity to sort of contest the ball because he can just so easily rise above him. But yeah, it was really sort of worrying to see that within 10 minutes. And we didn't really learn our lesson. I think next example we pull up is just 12 minutes, just 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
This time I think it was a corner kick, and sort of what Hibs seemed to do for a lot of their corner kicks was at first they would overload the back post with loads of their players, leaving sort of spaces elsewhere. And then once the free kick or the corner was taken, a lot of their players would rush into the middle of the box, leaving one or two spare men. Like Campbell, for example, here, as we can see, he's just completely free. So it kind of gives our defenders a lot to think about. At first, they're all leaning towards the back posts, a lot of players moving forward, a bit of panic in the box, and you can just see how free a header Campbell has here. He sort of guides a really good header back into the 6 yard box. I think it's Iredale flashes a decent attempt at goal, which deflects wide off Rocky Bashiri right in front of the keeper. So yeah, we clearly didn't learn our lesson, to be honest. And yeah, we really need to improve on that. There were even more nervy moments just before half time. It was another good Abita corner that was just scrambled off the line. It looked like that could have been a goal. I think we got a free kick for Mitov for a push there. It looked pretty soft, to be honest. But yeah, I was happy that we got away with one there. And we even looked a little bit sort of weak from set plays, even into the second half. Bashiri had a really good chance, probably Hibs' best opportunity of the afternoon. Free header at a corner, kind of front post. Didn't test Mitov on this occasion, but another warning sign. And I thought on another day we could have been punished for some of our defending. So yeah, a lot to think on.
Yeah, we're going to get punished. Let's be honest here. After St Mirren, we've got to face the two Glasgow sides back to back, and we will get punished if we continue to defend our set pieces like this. And it's my biggest fear at the moment. On a more positive note, our substitutions yesterday. I said last week that I wasn't overly keen on Jamie McGrath, but I have to say, last week and particularly yesterday, I thought he was fantastic. But I would like to make a special mention for Dante Polvara, who I thought made the difference last week and who I thought yesterday was absolutely immense, particularly in injury time.
Yeah, he's had a great couple of weeks, and even just more generally for Tilly making. I think he's been making really good substitutions. And I think yesterday he got them pretty spot on, both in terms of personnel and in timing. I think we brought players in at the right moments, and I thought we brought the right players on to try and get control back of the game. I completely agree about McGrath. I thought he, in such a high profile game, I was a little bit nervous about him coming on
Yeah,
against Hibs. There's
yeah,
pretty clear kind of conflict of interest there, with him wanting to play European football for Hibs next year. But I thought he did his job really professionally. So yeah, absolute credit to him for doing that. And I thought he had a really good game. But as you mentioned, I thought, yeah, Povar again was one of the stars when he came on. I mean, he only came on after the 74th minute, and I just noted down some stats we've got here from he had the most duels, or one of the most, second most duels of six, just after coming on the 74th minute. That's only second to Kneuster and Josh Campbell. Of his ground duels, he won 4 out of 6. That's second only to Jensen and Levitt. On a side note, I thought Jensen was really good. He won all 5 of his ground duels yesterday. He had a really positive performance. With the height of Dante, he won 2 of his 3 aerial duels. That was really good. And again, what we've mentioned before is just his running capacity. That run he had in the second half, just bursting past players.
Yeah.
He had 2 successful dribbles. That was joint highest with Jensen and Keskinen. Like, he's sort of first or second in a lot of these key metrics, despite being on the pitch for 15 minutes. It's absolutely incredible. And one that was interesting was he also had 2 chances created, which was also joint top. And I think that kind of helped partially with how the game went. He came on the 74th minute. I think he helped wrestle back control of the game. I thought Hibs had a decent spell, maybe from like 50 to 60 minutes. But his physicality really helped put them on the back foot. And how the game sort of evolved, we get our goal around about the 80th minute. And then we're perfectly set up then. We've got the sort of power of Polvara to win in midfield and sort of drive past midfielders. And when Hibs are forced to kind of come out and attack us a bit more, it left a lot of space for us in behind when we had chances for the likes of Daba. And I thought, we had a lot more space to play in behind them and sort of encourage them to try and attack us. But I thought Dante was absolutely brilliant. I love his running capacity. I really hope to see more of him in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure how we're going to fit them all in. It's an interesting sort of tactical conundrum, to be honest, because I really like the sort of double pivot of Palversa and Clarkson right now. So maybe, I don't know if Papi Gay maybe comes out and then you put Polvara further forward. But it's an interesting one. It's a good problem to have. I think earlier in the season we were struggling with players form in general. Now we've got too many players in form, arguably. So it's a good problem to have. It'll be interesting to see how Jimmy plays it.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks, mate, to make these decisions.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
let's finish off with St Mirren, our next game, obviously away in Paisley next week. It's a funny place for us to go there. We haven't done overly great in Paisley in recent times. They got a decent result against Rangers. It's tricky, isn't it? But it's like what we've said, just build up a steam of momentum. And that's what I'm kind of hoping that we can continue to do next week. Just keep this momentum going.
Yeah, we're in a really good spot, and I completely agree. It's a tough place to go. I was at the game at St Mirren earlier this season, and where we really kind of came undone was those aerial balls. There was a long ball through that Rubizic and Malloy failed to deal with. I think looks like we're in a lot better place now to deal with the sort of aerial and physical threat of St Mirren. I think Dorrington and Kneuster are looking really strong and sturdy at the back. So I think we're hopefully in a good place. We've got a lot of momentum, as you said. So fingers crossed we can just keep putting pressure on Hibs and get the 3rd place.
Exactly. All right, fella. Lovely to see you as always. Thank you so much. Have a great week, and I'll see you again next weekend.
Yeah, perfect. See you then.
All right, mate. Bye-bye.
It was good. I think we started well the first half really well, and we know Hibs are a good team. They are really clear what they want to do, and they're really sharp in this moment. So you have to be concentrated all the time to be play as a team, try to control the second balls, try to the fast transitions they have, and that's you have to do it in 90 minutes. And the players did it really well today in. Over the whole game, and also the way we attacked them, and especially in the first half, I think it was some, and also a little bit after. I think Hibs were better than us the first 15 trying to get the momentum of the game, and we used the squad again, and the players help each other, and everybody is coming in and take responsibility, and that's so important now where we are in the season. So I think the performance was good and stable. It was.
And just a gentle reminder that ABTV is also brought to you and sponsored by Craig International, where the future of global procurement is very much at the forefront of their business strategy. With 10 offices strategically placed all over the world to serve all 4 corners of the globe, procurement is very much safely in their hands. From Australia to Southeast Asia to the Middle East, to the continent on Europe, here in Aberdeen, and in the Americas as well. If you get a chance, check out their brand new website to find out more details about their services. Right, let's get you guys on and see how the devil you are. Hope you enjoyed that analysis piece. Set pieces. Oh. Right. Gordon Keith Ritchie says, good evening all. We deserved our win yesterday. Hibs parked the bus hoping for a draw or a 1-0 win. Nisbet's goal deserved to be the winner and the referee let Hibs waste time and booked us for it. Luminous Reality says, hi Ali and fellow dandies. Better performance, better game management, better substitutes at the right time. Still not perfect, but a lot to be encouraged about. Stand free. Richard Mickey McMillan says, great game, brilliant results. Let's keep it going. Colin Gale says it was a huge win yesterday and well deserved, although you would not think after watching the sports scene highlights. Excellent Nisbet goal and Dorrington and Knoesters were great. Well done. So obviously, because of where I live geographically, I don't get to see programmes like Sports Scene, but I've read an awful lot about it online, and I heard that it's not done us any justice or whatsoever. Now, what I will say is that editors, producers, particularly of highlights programme, are under a fair bit of pressure to get edited highlights done quickly. But what I will also say is that sometimes editorially, you need to think long and hard about the game. Because what I've been told is that it was all Hibs. Which was not the story of the game, which may suggest to me that the editor or the producer didn't have time to go through the whole 90 minutes and just picked bits and pieces here and there. That's no excuse. But I have heard that it was extremely flattering towards Hibs, let's say. Bruce Strother says, good evening, dandies. Big result yesterday and a brilliant winner from Nisbet. John Grant says, that was a decent performance and a great result, beating a rested Hibs team after our 120 minutes last week, who have gone 17 games unbeaten. Dante was superb when he came on, and Nisbet's goal, superb. Stephen Waters says, evening all, massive result yesterday. Would struggle to pick a man of the match as so many played so well, and fair play to Jamie McGrath. Bruce Strother says, yep, agree, Polvara was excellent. Centre-backs did the business as well. Ooh, right. Hang on, lots of comments. Just let me get through them. Hang on. Whoa, oh my gosh, there's loads of comments here. Paul Donaldson says, a massive win yesterday and one which we got because we wanted it more. Hibs looked happy to settle for a draw. Great job by Polvara and McGrath running the clock down at the end. David Horn is here wishing you a good evening, as is Cameron Young. He says, great result, brilliant last minute winner from Kevin Nisbet in 80th minute. On to Saturday now and get the result and 3 points against St Mirren, and let's get third place past Hibs. Matthew Cool says, big win yesterday. Hibs' unbeaten run started with us and was ended by us. Whole team played well and hope we can get Nisbet back permanently. Ryan Ellington says, good evening Ali and fellow dandies. Me and my uncle were at Pataudry. We had a great time. It was a tough game with a poor performance, but we got there in the end. And Kevin Nisbet, come on you Reds. Neil Sinclair's on asking how you all are. Mark Smith is suggesting that Nisbet contributed nothing for 120 minutes in the semi and nothing in 79 minutes yesterday, then delivers that. Oh, wow. Alexander Wallace is wishing you all a good evening. We are now back to winning tight games and seem to have more control. Passes are being completed, and there is no panic. Let's keep this up, Reds, all the way to the final. Graham Gibb says, Hibs got caught out playing for a draw. Despite the opinion of various pundits, I thought it was a good game. We played well in the first half. Hibs changed it, and we were less effective in the second half. Kirsten is here, wishing you all a good evening. What a result yesterday, and the goal could be a contender for goal of the season. Oh, a few of you are having a wee pop at Sports Scene. Angela Hamilton is here. Hi, Angela. Hope you're all well. A cheeky goal and a big 3 points. Took great pleasure in winding up my mate. Hugh Burns says, good evening. What a massive win again yesterday. He says he made an arse of himself at the goal at my age by running all the way down the steps to the wall. But what the hell? Why not, Hugh? Why not, fella? Who cares how old you are when you celebrate a goal? I love that, mate. Neil Sinclair says, do we think we finally got a 90-minute performance from the team? Just about, yeah. Neil's on, wishing you a good evening, as is Simon Roy. Great result. Think we played well for the whole game. Neil Sinclair came back to say, superb goal from Nisbet. Good touch, off balance, and bang, it's in the net. Unbelievable. Lorraine Baxter's here. How are we doing, Lorraine? What a match. Toppy fairly put in a shift yesterday, and what a goal from Nisbet. Just wow. Ewan Sutherland says, wonderful result yesterday. The only negative for me was Papagay's strop at coming off. His painfully slow walk off after being substituted was disgraceful. It was our time he was wasting. David Goldrally Vids is here, wishing you a good evening. He says, great result. Martin Smith says, good defensive performance and controlled the midfield. Thought Hibs played a high line that we didn't do enough to exploit. Morris needs a bit of nous to exploit his pace when faced with a high line. Yep. A lot of you talking about how well Dante Polvara was. And again, a lot of you are talking about how well the substitutions were overall. Norman Baker says, hugely important win and a great goal, but Mitov has a bad habit of making sloppy passes out from the back and putting our defenders under unnecessary pressure. He's got to stop doing that. I agree. Yeah, a few of you were not overly convinced about Shady Mo yesterday. Oh, Hugh Burns, I'm so glad you brought this up. Because honestly, I saw this today. I swear to God, I sometimes wonder if these guys actually watch the games that they're getting paid to comment on. Michael Stewart says he cannot understand why we're not playing Nicky Devlin. It's just, really? He's getting paid to make those comments. Deary me. By the way, I mean that with the greatest respect to Nicky Devlin, of course. Barry Cole says, big weekend coming up. St Mirren are a bogey team, and with Hibs playing United, we've got a great chance. Right. Oi, get away. Whoa. Easy, Tiger. Right. On this day in the football club's history, 40 years ago today, to be in fact, Willie Miller's legendary equaliser against Celtic not only sparked unforgettable memories, but also virtually sealed a second consecutive league championship for the Dons. It remains, quite sadly, the last time a club outside of Rangers or Celtic has claimed the Scottish title. Was that the game that day? In fact, got a wee memento from the game. Still got the match day programme from the game, and I was just quickly flicking through it. Billy Stark donning the front cover. This was our last home game of that particular season. We went on to beat Hearts and Morton in our final two games. But Sir Alex Ferguson has said, where did I see? He said, over the season as a whole, we've scored more goals than we've ever done before in the Premier League. And the heartening thing, looking to the future, is that we have basically a young side which can only get better. This is what I love about him. We've worked hard for our success this term and hope that today will bring the rewards that I believe the club thoroughly deserve. And this is how he finished off, which is so typical of Sir Alex Ferguson. Many thanks from all of us for your support. Have a good summer, and we look forward to seeing you back at Pittodrie next August. I want to personally thank all the players, all the staff, all the backroom staff, the supporters, and everybody that works at Pittodrie. I love that about him. That's 40 years old. 40 years old. Just a gentle reminder that ABTV is delighted to announce a new sponsorship deal with Quipco International, a manufacturing and repair service company servicing the gas and oil industry. With their headquarters based in Abu Dhabi, they are perfectly placed to offer services and products to the Middle East. My thanks, as always, to everybody who supports and sponsors me here on ABTV. If you are enjoying tonight's show, which I thoroughly hope you are, don't forget to press the old like button. Thank you for all the comments that have come in so far. And don't forget to subscribe. I know I keep banging on about it, and I don't mean to drive you mad, but the conversion rate of viewers to subscribers is actually really, really poor. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd be absolutely thrilled if you would please consider giving us a little follow here on ABTV as I continue my quest to get to 4,500 subscribers. Right, we've only got a couple of minutes left because I've got to get home to the kids. So let's just chuck in a couple of more comments and then we'll call it a night. Sorry, I'm just reading. Sorry. Alexander Jameson says, let me start that again. Slow down, Ali. Alexander Jameson said, greetings from Canada. Great win yesterday, but still a tough ask to get third place, especially with the goal difference. They have 2 home games and 2 away games. We just have the 1 home game. Yeah, look, I think it's going to be tough as well, but you never know. Sandra McPherson says, enjoyable game, huge win. However, I wish they'd taken that loudspeaker off the Hibs ultras. Every so often they blasted a siren. Took me back to the days of the waltzers at Cadonas. I must admit, and I don't know whether this is my age, I really don't know, whether I'm just becoming an old fuddy-duddy, but when I was at the Motherwell game, that drum from the Motherwell ultras, oh my God, that was starting to bang on my soul during that game. Oh, I was kind of looking around for a sniper. Unfortunately, there wasn't anybody about. I know it brings atmosphere, and I know it's there to G up the crowd, but oh my God. Does anybody else feel like that? Was it just me? I'm getting old. Neil Strachan says, good evening, Ali. Fantastic Nisbet goal. We could finish third. Let's see what happens. A lot of you are talking about Knutstas, how well he is, what a fantastic talent he is. A lot of you are saying it's going to be a really interesting summer coming up as well, which it certainly will be. Graham Gibbs said there's a very good piece in yesterday's Scotsman talking about that league win in 1985. People in the Central Belt were moaning, will anyone other than Aberdeen ever win the league? It's been the old firm ever since. Yeah, it certainly has. A quick story about that, just before we finish off and say good night. I remember interviewing the late Frank McDougall for a show, and he spoke about that game, because we obviously talked about it. And I love the mind games that Sir Alex Ferguson played ahead of that game. So Frank had been struggling with an injury leading up to that game. And he purposely told him not to get changed, to leave it to the very last minute and not to give any indication that he was going to be playing. So Frank didn't go out for a warm-up. He did his warm-up inside the dressing room. So the Celtic team believed that Frank McDougall wasn't going to be playing that day. Then he steps out of the changing rooms, fully kitted, ready to go. And he said you could see, Frank told me that you could see the change in attitude as they were lining up to come out onto the pitch. All of a sudden, they were like, Frankie is playing today. So they knew they were going to be in for a tougher 90 minutes. I love that. I love it. Right, guys, we're all done. Have an absolutely brilliant week. And I'll see you again on Friday for the preview show ahead of our game against St Mirren. So take very good care of yourselves. Thanks for all the comments that have come in. I'm sorry I've not got round to all of them. But do take good care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Stand free.